Hey everybody, welcome. It's Friday, April 23rd, 1 p.m. Eastern Time and
10 a.m. Pacific Time.
all right. So I'm Jennifer Foley and I work in the Durham region real estate market here in Ontario. And my host,
My name is Faine Grant, and I'm a realtor here in Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley area here in British Columbia.
Yeah, awesome. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah.
Catching this video after the live recording. Post any comments below or any questions that you have. We'd love to answer or help you out with anything.
Absolutely.
Today, Faine and I are talking about how to sell my home fast. As real estate professionals, we get asked this question a lot, don't we?
Absolutely. That's the first thing people ask me is, Faine, how quickly can you sell my home? And what can I do to help it sell quicker?
That's right. And so to sell quickly and for top dollar, there are a few things that a home seller should do to increase your home's marketability, decrease your time on the market, and attract strong offers. And so today we're going to cover some ways on how to sell your home fast. So,
and you know what's funny is because I find that so much of the magic of having a good listing and having it present properly is that so much work is before that listing actually hits the market. Before the listing hits the market, I always do a walkthrough. I always make a list of things that the sellers need to do in order to be able to have the photos turn out as best as possible. And first thing is hire a professional photo or photographer.
That's right. That's important as realtors for us to do that, right? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't do home photos without one. I mean, there's the odd exception to that rule, but that's in really extreme circumstances. But we know the difference between really good photos and it all starts online now. No longer is it, people drive by. I mean, they do drive-bys, but it all starts online for sure.
Well, and I find especially if you're in a multi-family complex, such as a condo or a townhouse, you don't get that same instant curb appeal if somebody were to do a drive-by. So that's where the photos and the presentation online comes in so importantly.
Exactly. And the other tip that we're going to give today, so tip number 2 is to clean and declutter your home.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And I always tell people, you know what, you're preparing for this move. So why not start packing up stuff that you know that you're going to take with you, that you're going to move, that maybe is your family pictures, your grandma's, I don't know, vase that she gave you when she passed on, and all these other things that maybe aren't necessary to have out. And, we want to convert the home back to being a house when we're selling, right? So even though it's the person's home and we live with all this stuff, it really is an opportunity to get started unpacking. Really?
Absolutely. And a really good way of thinking about it is, which I tell all my sellers, is that when somebody walks into a room, naturally the eye is going to flow from left to right. And you want as many straight lines as possible. So for example, in a kitchen, you have the counter space, you have above the cupboards. Naturally, your eye is going to go from left to right. And the items that are placed on those straight lines, they catch your eye, and regardless, they might be super cool things to look at, but it distracts the eye from taking that glance at the full room. And it could give the impression that it's cluttered, or they might not be able to, like, subconsciously, the buyer, when they're going through, they're going to get distracted by the extra items that are in the room or on the counter or above the cupboards.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, you need to pick a selling strategy. So some people, consider selling privately. And, that works in some cases if you have a family member like, cousin Bob that has loved your house forever and he wants to buy your house. But generally speaking, hiring an agent is, they know how to get homes sold quickly.
Absolutely. It's what we do day in, day out, and we've been doing it for multiple years. And not only that, but we know the markets, we know, certain safeguards to how to protect our clients, as well as we know what things are actually selling for, and we know market values, so that our clients don't get taken advantage of either, because some people, unfortunately, that's the sad truth, is that it does happen.
100%. And there's some private buyers that are out there now that are really, I've seen they're buying homes at least, it seems like about 50% less than what market value is.
Yeah.
There's another thing. It's important, if you're thinking about selling to one of these private buyers, if you picked up a flyer in the mail or anything like that in your mailbox, then, have a realtor out. There's no cost to you to do that, right?
Yeah.
Have a realtor out before you even sign paperwork with a private buyer.
Absolutely.
All right. So tip number 3, tip number 4. What do we have?
Write a great listing description. So many times I've seen 1 or 2 sentences in the little description box.
Yeah.
And how are people supposed to really get a good feel on, on how the actual home is and what all of the features are? I mean, sure, visuals are equally as important. However, that description box and what you can fit in there is so useful, because all of these things you may not be able to see by just looking at the photos. And so, knowing about the location, or telling them about certain upgrades that have been done, or, certain things about the complex or the strata that, you don't know these things unless you write it all in the description box.
100%. So tip number 5, handle any repair. So if there's anything that you need to do to prepare your home for sale, it's really important to take care of these things before you put them up for sale, because minor things can deter buyers from wanting to move forward, right? So even, if you have you bought a house and, the seller disclosed to you a previous ceiling leak or something like that, and, you just haven't had time to take care of that. It's really important to take care of that, because it's going to be a question that's going to come up in the minds of a new buyer, right? Looking at it, it wasn't an issue for you. So that's just an example, but it could be the door handles not working properly, or as a realtor, the one I really don't like is when the key doesn't work to go into the lock.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Access to the house, right? Like there's a big tip right there. If you have a front lock that doesn't work properly, there's nothing more frustrating as a realtor than not having to be able to get into the house and your client standing there with you, right?
Yep. And when you have a home inspection, I mean, all of the little things, they all add up. And I mean, if it's just one or two small things, that's one thing. But the thing is that usually it's not just 1 or 2 small things. Usually it's a bunch of small items that you've been meaning to get to forever. So I always say to people, have a handyman come in, write a little list, have them come in for a couple days, get all these things taken care of. Buyers will then see, oh, wow, this home is completely move-in ready. And then if they do get the chance to do an inspection, the smaller items will be less intimidating, because they'll probably only be just 2 or 3, as opposed to maybe 9 or 10 small little things.
Exactly.
And especially for a newer buyer too, that hasn't gone through the process before, it's a lot easier to digest, and way less overwhelming if there's only a couple small things rather than a long list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tip number 6 is staging and adding curb appeal. So
100%.
Pardon?
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right? Oh my gosh. Yes.
I mean, every seller, benefits from spending time to spruce up their home, both inside and outside. Making a really good first impression is crucial. And, I think if you look at buyers, if the home is staged, then it is important to them when they're making their decision on a house that is staged, and they can dream of living in that home versus something that's unstaged or cluttered or full of things that, the seller that distracts the buyer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That, the buyer says, I don't want to buy this house. I can't see myself living here. Like, this is not the kind of house I want to be in, when really it's personal items of making that property a home versus flipping it back to being a house, right?
Absolutely. And it's all in the presentation. And, if you think of a buyer, like we want to touch all of their senses when possible. So you want to make it visually look nice. You want to make it smell nice. You want to have some music, maybe, you know, playing in the background, and, you know, think of as many senses as you can touch for the buyer when they come through. The more emotionally attached that they'll feel compelled to come and buy it.
Oh, I love
and
that.
Connected to the home. Yeah,
for sure. Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, awesome tips and advice. Now let's put ourselves in the position of somebody that has kids or pets, and
Yes.
you know, things that are really, really, really important, right? Is you know, if you have kids, you know, I mean, understandably, there's going to be toys and playrooms and all that kind of stuff. So if you do have a designated area for that stuff, my suggestion would be making sure that it looks clean, tidy, neat.
Yep.
You know, if you have space in the basement, that's a really good spot for it, so that people aren't coming in and it's in your living room, and
Yes.
know, toys are overflowing in the bedrooms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and bins and baskets are very popular right now because you can put them side by side. They can have the impression of looking very cohesive and look nice and clean, and you can just still hide the toys in there.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the larger pieces, I mean, I know I have an 8-month-old, and my living room is full of, you know, eggs or saucers and jolly jumpers. And, you know, I would say for those, if I was personally showing my home or if I was giving advice, I would suggest taking those out.
Yeah.
And either, you know, if the weather's nice, maybe pop them out on the patio or put them in the backyard and tucked away. I've also seen some people, you know, put them in their minivans while they're doing a showing, and then that way it doesn't pull the attention to that buyer who maybe doesn't have kids, and that doesn't speak to them emotionally.
Can I bring this up too? Like, for people that have children that are still in diapers, do not leave like one of those diaper dispenser things full of diapers. You know, I mean, odors, those kinds of things. I mean, when we go through the properties with the buyers, I mean, offensive odors like that.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it just kind of turns people off from looking at anything else in the home. Same with pets, right? So
same with pets. Yeah. The litter boxes. Oh my goodness. The litter boxes, even the cleanest of litter boxes will smell. So, you know, and air fresheners and air diffusers, they don't cover that. So those things, you absolutely need to take those out of the home, and, you know, put them in the garage. I would advise not to put it in the garage, because then that would smell the garage. But trying to at least take them out of the main living space, just because people are very sensitive to those kinds of smells as well. And those with allergies too, they can pick those up very easily.
Put them in the basement, the litter boxes.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, sometimes people don't realize too, like odors, like, you know, if you have cats, sometimes you can walk into the front entrance, you can smell cat smells, and or when you walk into the home, it smells like the cats have maybe been doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or dogs, you know,
or wet dogs. Yeah. Slobbery dogs, wet dogs. Yeah. And so I'm a dog person.
Me too. But, you know, I mean, sometimes we don't realize that those odors are in our homes. So if you're uncertain, then ask the realtor, right? And
and we never mean any offense when and I find that smells are the hardest thing to communicate to clients too, because I find that people really take offense to those kinds of things. And it's not anything against you or your home or your cleanliness or anything like that. It's just that the majority, like, you know, not the majority, but a fair amount of buyers out there, the sensitive buyers are so sensitive, like, as far as smells and whatnot. So we want to be able to cater to everybody. And
it's kind of like cooking smells. Not everybody likes the smell of cooked fish.
Totally.
Not everybody likes the smell of, you know, I don't know, whatever, different odors from foods that people are cooking, right? It's kind of along the same idea. So
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully everybody found these tips helpful, and post any comments below, and hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button.
Absolutely.
And, we'll be doing this every Friday at 1 o'clock. So next week, we're going to be talking about how to stage your home.
Amazing. And 10 o'clock Pacific time.
1 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah.
Okay.
I keep forgetting that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next Friday.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.